Welcome, everybody, to The Rope Break. I am your host, Jeff Wolf. I am alongside the greatest co-host in the world, Eric Vanek.
What's going on, guys?
Today we are going to do things a little bit differently. We thought that we would maybe save the reviewing for later, and we're going to get into our main topics. Usually we talk about three. Today I kind of wanted to add an extra one in because of the induction to Paul Bearer, so that will be short. But a couple things I just wanted to bring up today. One thing being we're going to talk about John Cena. We're going to talk about what he really has to do to kind of embrace the fans. I mean, I know this has been an ongoing thing, but I'd kind of like to just get Eric's opinion on this as well. So we're going to just get into that a little bit, talk about what he has to do to kind of be liked by the fans, if there's even a possibility of a heel turn or anything like that. Like I said, we're going to talk about Paul Bearer being inducted into the Hall of Fame. We're also going to talk a little bit about that whole Batista altercation that happened, I think it was like 2 days ago or something in Canada, where he got in a little fight with the DJ. And then we will also talk about how Vince kind of trolled the fans about CM Punk's return. But we're going to get right into it. Let's talk about John Cena for a second, Eric. He doesn't really have the fans behind him, except for his girls and his little younger kind of audience, as well as some of the adult audience. But is there any way at this point that he can kind of save that for himself?
Well, I'll say this. It would take an epic heel turn, kind of like Hulk Hogan did with WCW.
You think it's even a possibility, though, to even do that heel turn now?
No, but do I want to see it? No.
Okay.
Right now, I don't, because we talked about it the other day. It's totally different eras right now. If the roles were reversed and John Cena was Hulk Hogan back in the day, John Cena would be what Hulk Hogan is right now, the most loved and respected, and, you know, every time he would come back, the fans go nuts. That would be John Cena now. And then if Hulk Hogan was in this era, I'm sure Hulk Hogan would be getting booed right now. It's the fans are, I don't want to say back then they weren't smart, because obviously they were. But it's like with the internet, I think the internet has just changed so much now. Things are reported, people hear things. There's so many people talking about wrestling. You didn't have people doing blogs and internet, because the internet wasn't around back then. So in the 80s, so you didn't have, you know, all these people just talking about wrestling and giving their opinions, and more people give their opinions nowadays. So, you know, John Cena is, you know, people are just too hard on him, I think, because, okay, he can't wrestle. Well, you know what? He can wrestle. He's not that terrible. There's a lot other guys in that WWE ring that are a lot worse than John Cena. Yeah, he might do the same few signature moves, but you know what? So does Daniel Bryan, so does CM Punk. They all have signature moves. They're going to do them in their match. It's just a given. It's been like that since the end of time of how wrestling works. So with Cena to be liked by everybody, it's just not going to happen. People have different opinions, who they like or what they like. It's just, you know, it's not something that's in the nature of what the fans want right now. And it's just a totally different era than the 80s is compared to right now.
Yeah, I think John Cena is the absolute closest thing to a Hulk Hogan that we've ever seen. They're absolutely so much comparable. And I think John Cena, I think hating on John Cena has turned into such a gimmick with the fans that there's no way of getting past it, unfortunately. I wish there was, because John Cena is not bad. For people that say John Cena is a bad wrestler, go back and look at his United States run. Go back and look at before he got to that point even. I mean, John Cena is actually a really good wrestler. He's just not really able.
We're talking about him in a match of the year this year.
Yeah, I mean, he can go. John Cena can go. I always say this, and I know, I mean, people that do listen or know me, they automatically think I'm a Vince McMahon hater, but which I kind of am. But I think the top guys get put into that Vince McMahon mold of moves, where he doesn't want you to be able to branch out really. He wants you to shine in a program, that's very traditional and very few moves, and just keep doing it over and over and over again, and you're not able to really branch out and make your own character in that sense. And I think that's what's happened with John Cena over time. It's not just John Cena. Go back and look at Stone Cold. Stone Cold's one of the most loved wrestlers of all time. Are you going to tell me that Stone Cold's moveset is that much different than John Cena's moveset? Because it's not. It's very similar. I mean, it happens with everyone. It happens with The Rock. I mean, these are people that people are saying are some of the greatest superstars of all time, and people say that about John Cena over time as well. He's just not. He just doesn't have that coolness factor and that edginess really of the more popular guys.
Yeah, well, when he had his rapper gimmick, he was the coolest thing out there.
I agree. I loved it. I absolutely
everybody loved it.
Like everyone loved it
because it was different.
Yeah, and I was honestly a John Cena fan at that point. And it's not that I'm not a John Cena fan. It's just to me, he's just boring for doing what he does. But it's not. At the same time, I don't believe it's his fault. I believe that management is kind of telling him what he should be doing in the ring, and he just bought into it. And he's
a company guy.
Yeah, he is. I mean, and he's a cookie cutter champion, and that's what he is. I mean,
and it's the stuff he does outside of the ring with Make-A-Wish, and you can have a heel do it. Obviously, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Well, Randy Orton does it too.
Yeah, but I mean, John Cena is their person that's done the most wishes ever, granted most wishes ever.
I think he's granted most wishes over anyone, not just in pro wrestling, just ever.
Yeah, that's what I meant, ever, over anybody.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that is such a big deal that WWE has a huge partnership with them, and if they, I'm not saying that they would lose that, but I mean, that's such a huge thing for them. It's just you can't have the face of your company be a total douche. To these little kids, what's he gonna do? Break some little kid's heart because he didn't want to grant their wish because he's on a heel turn right now. He can't do that.
Yeah. It's like I remember the old days. If a kid would have a birthday party, they would sometimes get a heel wrestler to come to that party and destroy the cake in front of the kid or something. Just to stick up with the whole persona of what they were supposed to be.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I read that somewhere a long time ago. To talk about what you were kind of talking about with going back in the 80s and stuff like that, the internet has absolutely killed professional wrestling. Without I
don't want to say killed, but it's hurt it.
Oh, it's hurt it so bad. It's hurt it so bad. When you go back,
everyone. I mean, we could even say me and you. Everyone thinks they're the fucking next best thing. That I could write better than this.
Oh, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I could do better than that. And you know what's funny? I probably could write better than half of the fucking.
Well, yeah. I mean, right now it's not hard to say. But I mean, without the internet, we wouldn't be able to do this right now. I mean, with the internet available, it makes everyone think they're an expert, and it makes everyone have that avenue of being able to put their mind out or their voice out, their writing out. I mean, it's just and it's fun. It's awesome that's possible. But I think because of how big the internet really is, it's like there's no surprises really in professional wrestling anymore. It's so incredibly hard to surprise people.
No, I mean it's happened this year with Batista. They kept it a secret, and then some arena accidentally puts out that Batista's coming back, so they had to announce it 3 weeks in advance that Batista's coming back.
Yeah,
that ruined it. Hogan coming back, TMZ ruined that. Undertaker, that was reported 2 weeks before he was coming back. I mean, I want to be fucking surprised with this stuff.
Yeah.
And nowadays, you can't be surprised. But doing, what we love this, we got to read about it, and it just happens to be that way. I would love to be able to not be on top of everything and what's going on, but you just can't help it.
Yeah. And I want to wrap this up, but I wanted to just talk a little bit about the heel turn thing for John Cena. I don't think at this point there's any point to do a heel turn. I think that point happened 2 years ago. John Cena turning heel now would be too late to happen, and it would absolutely kill merchandising. It would kill Make-A-Wish.
Well, go ahead.
I'm just thinking like the heel turn at this point I think is just it's just honestly too little too late. It wouldn't work out. It would be, I would imagine, very similar to when Stone Cold turned heel, and it just didn't work. It wouldn't work with the fans. I think all the fans, all the smart fans that want to think they know everything and want to maybe see that edgier John Cena as a heel, I think once it happened, they'd realize that it's just stupid.
I agree to a point, but if they could, I mean, it would have to be epic.
It would be like extra. He would have to be the most evil heel ever. Like, yeah, and I don't know if he can be Triple H heel.
Yeah, like you had Hulk Hogan do it with Kevin Nash and Scott Hall for the NWO. It was perfect. That is the kind of epic and perfect I'm talking about. If John Cena can't do something like that, then you can't do it.
No.
But if John Cena could pull that off, like you were saying with merchandise and all that, look at the NWO. How many fucking T-shirts and people were behind them?
Yeah, I mean,
it can work. It's just it needs to be done.
It would have to be the greatest idea the WWE has come out with in the last 15 years.
Yeah, and they better get Raven and Paul Heyman and some other brilliant minds.
You better get a pretty damn good writing staff on that idea if that's going to happen. But honestly, I don't think it will, and thus we will have John Cena being the John Cena until he decides to retire.
I'll to end this, I want to say that I used to hate John Cena like most of you. But over time and seeing what he does for the company, with Make-A-Wish, does stuff with the troops.
It changes your mind.
He does all that stuff. Yeah, like
this
guy is not bad at all.
No.
He's actually pretty damn good human being, and it's like Tim Tebow. How can you hate the guy?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, he is what he is.
Yeah.
All right, so the next thing we want to just touch up on real quick is that Paul Bearer got inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame this week on WWE television. Definitely deserved. He will go down as maybe the greatest manager of all time. I don't know. It depends on what you look at as a manager. Okay, maybe not the greatest. I'll say this: he's probably the most iconic manager of all time.
He's I would say the most unique manager of all time would be the word I would say. I think Bobby the Brain Heenan is the best manager of all time, to be honest. But Paul Bearer is...
That's a great debate, too.
Yeah, well, Paul Bearer's right up there. I mean, I'm not saying he's out of the top 10, but he's definitely top 5, I would say. But he's so unique. He could only really manage three people. I mean, he had Undertaker, Kane, and Mankind for a little bit. You had to have a unique character in order for him to manage you, pretty much. So, he was the mouthpiece of the Undertaker, in the beginning, and then for Kane when Kane came along, just his voice, the way he shrieked, and all that, it was, very unique. No one had ever done it before, so. It's a shame that he passed away and he can't actually experience this moment to be inducted in the Hall of Fame. It's a shame that happens sometimes. Like, people pass along and they can't actually be there to experience this great achievement for their career.
Well, maybe if they would stop inducting people in the celebrity wings and they would actually put people that were actual parts in professional wrestling, stuff like this wouldn't happen, where they wouldn't have to wait until people pass away to induct him to the Hall of Fame, because honestly, it's bullshit. It's bullshit that people like he didn't get to experience in his actual life being inducted into a Hall of Fame as prestigious as what this has become. It's a shame that it's going to happen to Macho Man. It's a shame that it happens to so many people that they wait until they die to then be like, okay, let's honor them now. It's like, no, why can't you just honor? Why? Like, it just frustrates me because Pete Rose is in the Hall of Fame. Great. Awesome.
Yeah,
I understand. He got screwed over by Major League Baseball. Well, maybe he didn't. That's a whole other conversation on a whole other podcast. But it's like, it just frustrates me that you have to wait so long to induct some of these people when you put in half of the people are celebrities that no one gives a shit about, honestly.
Yeah, you don't have Macho Man Randy Savage in your Hall of Fame, but you have Pete Rose and Bob Uecker.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I understand they were a part of WrestleMania, and it's cute and whatever. And you know what? You're going to get picked up by ESPN. You're going to get picked up by other sports markets because you're doing this. And that's cool. That's great. I understand that. But for an actual professional wrestling company to do stuff like that and to wait and to not as a fan, not getting to see a speech from like a Paul Heyman or Macho Man when that does happen, that sucks, because I know you're the same way, like in this regard, where when we watched like Ric Flair get inducted, I'm not afraid to say that a tear didn't go down my eye. I mean, that was an emotional time, and I love that. I love when the professional wrestlers can stop being the Macho Man kind of people, not no pun intended, and they can just be real people, and they can just be so humble by the fact that they are inducted into such a prestigious ceremony for what they have given their life for, basically. And it sucks that Paul Bearer is not going to have that moment, but it's awesome that he's in. Getting to watch the WWE Network, I've seen him as manager as Percy Pringle, and he got to manage a lot of other different kind of people as well. But obviously, what people will remember him for is Undertaker, Kane, Mankind. Yeah. And honestly, I don't think Undertaker gets over as much as he does without Paul Bearer being by his side.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's all we're gonna have on that. That was a little rant for the day. That I didn't mean to turn into.
We're only on topic 2.
I know.
And we have a rant.
I know.
I haven't even gotten to Willow yet.
We haven't even gotten to Willow yet. Also, over the weekend, it looks like Batista got into an altercation with a Canadian DJ host for Power 97, DJ Cam Carson. And I guess the DJ... or the whole Power 97 crew was kind of hosting this live event, so people thought maybe this was a work or maybe it wasn't. We're getting reports saying that people were kind of by Cam Carson the whole night, and he was just a drunk idiot, and they don't think it was a work because he was just getting in everyone's way and he was being annoying. He was heckling the whole night, so I don't know if this was kind of just a way for the camera crews to get something to talk about the next day or something, but it doesn't look like it was a work. It looks like maybe Batista really did get into an altercation with someone. So I don't know how the WWE is going to handle this. Me personally, I love seeing that rage come out of Batista.
Yeah, I think it's a work, to be honest with you. I just think they were hosting the event, and to get publicity and all that kind of stuff, it just makes sense. I just think, they kind of had something planned. It just, I don't know. Honestly, I don't even know why we're talking about it, because I don't think it's that big of a deal. Who gives a shit?
Well, we had to have something to talk about, and this was a pretty big thing when a wrestler actually hit someone, especially a wrestler that is in the WrestleMania main event.
I guess, but I honestly can care less.
Okay, well, me personally, I hope WWE does something about it. I don't think they will. I think it's gonna, even if it's not a work, it's gonna turn into a work.
Let's suspend him for another 4 years.
That would be great. That would be what I would do. I would suspend him for another 4 years, kind of like he just failed a drug test for like the 4th time, which he probably did. That just got put on.
Maybe his opponent will at WrestleMania.
Yeah. Oh, you don't even want me to go there. Oh my gosh, that's exactly why I took a hiatus for a while. All right, so that's all we're gonna talk about that. We'll update if there's anything else that gets out about that in the next coming of weeks, but I doubt anything will really. Last thing that I want to talk about before we get into reviewing the shows this week was the whole CM Punk thing. We came on last week fully expecting that CM Punk really was going to be there on Raw. He wasn't. We'll get into it more, but really, Paul Heyman came out to his music and kind of he said he was doing a pipe bomb, but I never really even heard a pipe bomb in that promo. So CM Punk wasn't there. We were told he was going to be there. Everyone was reporting he was going to be there. There was a very high percentage of him being there, but really it was Vince kind of trolling the fans a little bit.
Yeah, I think Vince and Triple H and all them got the best of the fans.
Yes.
I mean, The only way they could have started off that show was with that song, but they didn't have Punk come out. Obviously, we've read stuff that Punk was never scripted. He was never even contacted, really, to come and do something on Raw. I've heard something about maybe our WWE officials wanted him to come and do a retirement farewell speech, and I'm like, really? This dude's, I just don't see him retiring.
Oh, that's a slap in his face. He would never do that.
Yeah, like, oh, well, since you're leaving, why don't you come back and do a retirement speech?
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself.
No, yeah. He'd be like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
I'll see you there.
So, I mean, they got the best of them. Like, I thought the whole night was just a total work because they had Dolph Ziggler come out and Dolph win a match. They had all these crowd favorites come out and win matches and stuff. And just to keep all the fans happy and they wouldn't, quote-unquote, hijack Raw. Honestly, the crowd was decent, but it was nothing like I expected it to be. Like, they were like... It was like WWE just totally just defeated them.
Yeah, no, they were hot one time, and that was during the Triple H and Daniel Bryan Stephanie promo.
Yeah, and to start off the show.
Here's my problem with this whole thing, is I understand that Paul Heyman coming out, it does two things. One, Paul Heyman is legitimately a very good friend of CM Punk. So I think if anyone in that locker room is going to do that promo and it's not going to ultimately piss off CM Punk, it's going to be Paul Heyman. On the other side, I think you wasted an absolutely amazing moment with doing it with Paul Heyman. I understand that Paul Heyman is easily top 3 best talkers in that locker room, and he's not even a performer. But if you're going to do that and you really want to give someone heel heat, if like someone's just on the cusp of just getting over in some way and they're just struggling, and you have them come out and you have them do a pipe bomb against CM Punk just for that week, just to piss off the fans so much and say so much mean crap against CM Punk or something, I think you missed that opportunity with doing it with Paul Heyman, and you could have just done it with just throwing out a name like Dolph Ziggler. I'm not saying that he's turning heel or anything. I'm just saying you could have done that with someone that really could have given them heat.
There was a plan at one point of having Bad News Barrett come out and do it, which is perfect. That's the perfect way to do it if you're going to do what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Is have Bad News Barrett come out and be like, well, I'm afraid I've got some bad news. Your hero's not going to show up.
Yeah.
And just get a ton of heel heat for somebody that you're trying to get over as a heel. Well, it makes sense. It makes business sense. I think even CM Punk would respect that because...
Yeah, he would have.
Because they're like, look, they're trying to make another guy that's, trying to make something of himself, finally, and they're giving him this opportunity, and he does a great job with it. I think even he would respect that, but I don't know, the whole Heyman promo was... It was solid, but it got over his point with Brock and The Undertaker. It added a little bit to that, but at the expense of CM Punk, I don't know.
Yeah. And basically just to end this, and this is actually the very first topic we were going to talk about on Raw, so we kind of got that out of the way. Vince trolled the fans, basically. They touche to him. I mean, he got one over on the fans. That doesn't happen often. We were just talking about surprises, and this was actually a reverse surprise. So,
yeah.
In a sense, they actually did something really cool in that way. But I mean, I give Vince credit for doing this. If this was just him planting this information to the dirt sheets and whatever, I definitely give him credit for doing that. It worked. It got people interested. It got people talking. It got people watching. It got people disappointed.
Yeah, that was the other point I was going to bring up was, what if Vince did plant that and, had whoever Dave Meltzer's source was, tell him that.
Yeah.
It was, perfect. So, I mean, WWE just, spit in your face pretty much. Thank you for your money. Thank you for watching. We just fucked you over.
Yeah. And we're going to get right into the reviews now, the first one being with Raw, and that was the first topic. So we kind of just covered that enough already. We were both disappointed with it. And honestly, after that moment, I was pissed off from the show. Because not necessarily of being that CM Punk wasn't there, because I didn't want him to be there. I didn't want him to show up. I want this to be ugly for Vince, honestly. But it just kind of, what pissed me off was Paul Heyman doing it and the way that they do it, because Paul Heyman didn't really say anything. He's because he at one point
it kind of put the word pipe bomb to shame, because it wasn't a pipe bomb at all. It was kind of making fun of it.
Yeah, and he said that he was going to have, this was his version of a pipe bomb. Well, what made CM Punk's pipe bomb so awesome was the fact that he, quote unquote, shot. Like he actually talked about real stuff. Heyman didn't talk about anything real. In fact, what pissed me off even more is that the WWE turned this into a storyline, something that was kind of just like a planned little story, and it's not. It's a real thing, and they want to just make it look like a gimmick, and that really ticked me off, and that kind of gave me a sour taste in my mouth going down the rest of the show.
Yeah. Well, to finish this off quickly, Paul Heyman's first pipe bomb wasn't even here. It was at ECW One Night Stand, right to JBL and Edge's face, and Eric Bischoff. Yeah.
Oh, God, that's an amazing moment. One of the best moments ever. All right, so then...
Now that's a pipe bomb.
Yeah, that's a pipe bomb. So after that, the next big thing that happened, I should have been super excited about, but it really just pissed me off. And that was the Usos actually defeating the New Age Outlaws, and they won the tag titles. And I thought, why would you do this right here? Why would you do this just on a random Raw where you just kind of pissed off the fans a little bit with the whole CM Punk thing? And you're not going to give the Usos the WrestleMania moment. Like, this was perfectly set up. Exactly what happened, what I wanted to happen, with the Outlaws going over them at the Chamber, and it's going into WrestleMania, and them getting the WrestleMania moment, winning. The fans have been behind them for the last couple of months. WWE has been behind them for the last couple of months, and I just thought this was such a dumb way to give them the tag titles.
Well, you just said it. It was coming off of the CM Punk promo, and what did I say at the start? Vince McMahon and all of them had all the fan favorites win this night.
Yeah.
The Usos are a fan favorite. Winning the tag titles would get them crazy pumped. They would be cheering, and they'd be all happy. This is why they did it. This is exactly why they did it. And it's stupid. I agree with you. They should have had this moment at WrestleMania, but they said, no, let's do it right now just to make the crowd happy so they don't hijack our show. That is the only reason they won on this night.
Oh.
You know it's true.
No, I know it's true, and it frustrates me so much, but I have to...
It's smart on WWE's part, because they didn't want the crowd to be pissed off all night. Here's a way to not piss them off. They get to see a title change on a Raw, and it's one of the fan favorites win. So they're keeping them happy. They had Dolph Ziggler win. They had the Usos win the tag titles, and it was all geared towards the fans that night to have their fan favorites be happy all night, to prevent that. That's all this was.
We move on. We then go to something that keeps on happening, and this again kind of ticked me off, because it's just like, same old crap over and over again. And that's with Big E, and this whole triple thing with Big E, Cesaro, and Swags, Jack Swagger.
Started out
to call him Swags. So Big E defeated Cesaro when Jack Swagger attacked Big E, and then later on in the night, there was another Big E match with Swagger when Cesaro interfered. So they were just they both interfered with each other. They both are just getting one-ups on each other like they have been in the past. It looks like they basically hugged it out and whatever, and act like we're going to go on our merry own way, but we're really not. This is just going to keep going on until, I would assume, WrestleMania. And I really do, every week I believe more and more that it's really just going to be a triple threat match at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think after this week you have to pretty much assume it's going to be a triple threat match between these three. It should be a very good match.
It'll be a great match.
I mean, that's basically all we're talking about right here is going to be that match, because from Raw, there's really nothing else to talk about other than that they, interfered in each other's matches.
Yeah.
So
it's just the same old thing, and it's just getting
and we'll talk more about WrestleMania here in coming weeks. So
then we had another awesome Wyatts and Shield match. I kind of enjoyed this one more than the pay-per-view one.
Yeah, it was a pretty good match. definitely, everyone got action like they did at the pay-per-view. Just a really good story. And then you kind of thought maybe the breakup was happening when Seth Rollins jumped off the ring apron.
I got so excited, too.
When Dean Ambrose came over to try to make the tag. So you kind of thought, oh, is this the break right here? And Seth Rollins just walked up the ramp and just watched the rest of the match on the ramp as Roman and Dean looked on like, what the hell are you guys doing? And then from that point, the action just picked up because they were flying over the announcers' tables and everything.
Dean showed up that match, too. Like, Dean's kind of been a little bit lazy in the ring, I guess you could say, lately, but this match he definitely picked it up and he hit some awesome stuff, and Roman the intensity was there for sure with him. It's funny, the Shield always looks like they have all the intensity, but the Wyatts are bigger, stronger, and get the win. I mean, obviously when it's 3-on-2, you can't have the Shield go over unless you want to paint Roman Reigns as Superman, even though he does the Superman punch.
Yeah. So obviously the Wyatts got the win. Definitely a solid match. More momentum for Bray. Bray's just building up to John Cena.
God, Bray's building up so well with his promo work too. My God,
it's really gearing up to be one of the best matches of WrestleMania because Cena brings it. I mean, we've talked about it. Cena and Bray are going to put on a damn good match.
Yeah. And then we're going to talk about the thing now that was like the hottest moment crowd-wise of the night, and that was Daniel Bryan, Triple H, and Stephanie promo. Anytime Stephanie and Triple H would even talk, that crowd, you could almost not even understand what they're saying because that crowd got so loud and so heated.
Yeah, and they were, going back and forth. Triple H and them didn't even acknowledge the crowd, didn't mention anything that they were doing. They would just let them chant and all that. Daniel Bryan was trying to get them to do yes chants and stuff. But definitely a good promo, trying to build up more towards them having a match. I kind of like how, Stephanie talks, and Daniel Bryan's like, yeah, okay, now to Hunter.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's saying, okay, you're a woman, now let's talk to the man.
Yeah, let's let the men handle this. So I always find that kind of funny when Daniel Bryan does that.
Yeah, it is funny. And I don't know how many people are really catching on to that.
Yeah, it was definitely a good back and forth promo. They're still leading up to it, but I wonder how WWE is going to capitalize of Daniel Bryan getting a one-up on Triple H to infuriate Triple H so much that he's like, you want this match, you got it.
Yeah.
So it's got to be coming. I would assume this Monday has got to be coming.
Yeah, and the main event, and we're only going to talk about this match honestly because it's the main event, and I feel you can't not talk about the main event no matter what. And it was Batista and Daniel Bryan, which Daniel Bryan brought it like he always does. Batista's getting a little bit better. He got a little. I don't know if that's just the different kinds of styles or whatever with Daniel Bryan and Batista. But they had a decent main event. I mean, the real story is afterwards where Daniel Bryan gets attacked and Triple H gets more intense about what this rivalry is starting to become.
Yeah, was it Kane and Triple H came out at the end?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was definitely a decent match. Definitely getting, planting the seeds that, okay, maybe Triple H and Daniel are going to have their match at Mania. Still hasn't, fruitioned yet. It was a decent main event. I mean,
there's nothing more you can really say about it. It wasn't that great. It is what it is. But yeah, overall Raw, I thought it was a decent show. But like I said, I think from the beginning I was kind of disappointed, and then I was disappointed again. Then I was like, okay, this is stupid. And then the Wyatts happened, and then that was cool. And then the promo with Daniel Bryan, that was cool. I think those two moments were just the cool moments of the night. Yeah,
I thought I honestly expected a lot more from this crowd.
Yeah,
I was really hyped for it. I wanted CM Punk to come back. I was selfish. I'm like, fuck this. I want CM Punk back.
Yeah.
So I was just disappointed that he didn't come back, and that was it.
Yeah. And then SmackDown kind of started the way that Raw ended, where we have a face-off between Daniel Bryan and Batista. Batista really... This was the first time that Batista, at least mic work-wise, I could say was starting to get a little bit better. And I think this is why. Because he was being an absolute asshole. And Batista is an absolute asshole. Dave Batista, not Batista the character. Dave Batista. This is Batista. This is who he really is. And he actually got to embrace himself as a heel, and he was really himself, and that's the best he does. So I thought it was good.
Yeah, he had somebody to work off of. I mean, he had somebody face to face with him. Somebody to work off of.
He had Randy Orton to work off of as well.
Yeah, once, but all the other times, last week on SmackDown he did his promo, he's by himself. Monday, a couple Raws, he's done promos just by himself in the ring. So he had somebody to kind of work off of. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely better. Setting up, for what was going to happen later in the night. I think this is just another way to get Batista more ring time and stuff. Against somebody that's actually pretty good, Daniel Bryan. So I think that's pretty much all this was. It's not like a feud or anything, but maybe for a future.
Yeah. That's why it's like I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I'm very intrigued to see what this WrestleMania card is going to come to be with Triple H and Daniel Bryan and Batista and Randy Orton. I mean, it's all scattered really. It's like they're always bouncing off of each other. So I don't know what really is going to happen with it, but yeah, it was a good way to start off the show. And then they kind of went into the Shield bickering with each other in the ring, kind of saying their piece against each other, and then with the crowd not necessarily in favor of it, all of them finally getting back together as Seth hits Dean and Dean hits Seth, kind of just like getting their punches in, get their frustration out, and then getting back together as brothers.
Yeah, it was a decent little segment. I thought it could have been a little bit better, but for what it was pretty good. I think Dean seemed like he was pretty pissed off about it, even though they were, reunited kind of in the end. Yeah. But he's kind of still seemed like he was shaking his head, still pissed off about it. So I could, I think we both kind of see that Dean Ambrose is going to be the guy that ends this eventually.
Yeah. It's very NWO-ish, the way that they're getting back together and being at ends with each other, kind of like how like Hogan and Nash were for a while, and Hogan and Macho were for a while.
Yeah. So it was definitely a good segment. Not really much more you could say about it.
I'm just waiting for the split at this point. I know there's some people that say the Shield can go on for so much longer, but I think all three of them are at a point where they can all be by themselves. And Seth even said that. They can be by themselves and they'll be fine. And I believe that. I really do. I think all three now have shown their personalities and had so much in-ring work, and their styles are so completely different that branched out, I think they're all going to be fine professional wrestlers on their own in the WWE. So I'm just kind of waiting for the split to happen at this point.
Yeah, I agree.
And we're going to do something we haven't done ever, I don't think. We're about to talk about a women's match.
No, we talked about Paige and Emma last week.
Okay, well that's NXT. This is actual on the WWE shows. And AJ and Natalya had a match. It was a good match. It was a real good match. What did you think of them actually being able to perform a women's match that you're actually interested in?
I definitely liked it. It was definitely a good match. I think AJ and Natalya have some pretty good chemistry. And I think with Natalya getting the win here with the sharpshooter, that's big. Natalya gets a pin or a submission victory over the Divas champion. What are we, 2-3 weeks away from WrestleMania?
I think more than that. I think like 4 or 5.
Okay, 3-4 weeks away from WrestleMania. That's huge. So if that doesn't say, hey, Natalya's the next one to get a shot here, I would hope that they're starting to build an AJ versus Natalya match for WrestleMania for the Divas title, because both those girls can wrestle. They're good at it. I mean, they're good at it. Natalya deserves a title run, I would think, especially with Total Divas starting up here again in another week or two. I think that just makes sense. So I think that this was a huge win, and it's hopefully a build-up for WrestleMania for these two.
Oh, my sweet, sweet Natalya. I hope she gets the actual match at WrestleMania. She deserves to have a WrestleMania moment at some point in her career. She's easily the best female wrestler on that whole roster. There's no one can tell me otherwise. This is the only thing I don't like about it is exactly what you mentioned with Total Divas.
I think that Ava Marie could go in the ring.
Oh God!
Sorry.
I don't want Natalya to get this just because of Total Divas, which she might end up just getting it just because it adds those Total Divas versus non-Total Divas women, which I hate the whole storyline. I hate how they played it out the first season, and it'll probably keep on going the second season. But with that not even being said, I think if this does happen at WrestleMania, I think AJ and Natalya are easily two of the top 3 to 5. Yeah, AJ's, even though she's champion, she's got that gimmick. She has a great personality. I don't think she's that great in the ring. She's pretty good, but I don't think she's great. I think Natalya will definitely outshine her, win or lose. But I think regardless, it'll be a good match if that does happen at WrestleMania, and it's just nice to see that Natalya is finally getting recognition.
If you do watch Total Divas, you could just tell how much the WWE walks over Natalya and knows that Natalya is pretty much born into this business, and she's not going to tell them no. She's just too nice of a person to tell them.
Well, this is her dream job. I mean,
yeah.
She begged basically to get to be in the WWE, and she worked her frickin' ass off to get into the WWE. They denied her time and time again. They weren't going to let her in just because of who her father was and what her last name is. I mean, she really did work to get her spot in the WWE, and I think because of that, she doesn't want to screw it up. She wants to just have her legacy be in the WWE because that's what she's grown to be.
Yeah. Well, like I said, she's been walked all over by WWE, do this, do that, do this, but not actually be the main person. And like you said, she's probably one of the best, if not the best, female wrestler in the WWE. Let her have her moment. You guys have walked over her for years. She was Great Khali's freaking girlfriend on TV. I know. How much worse can you get? Other than being Hornswoggle on TV.
I think as a female, that's the worst you can get. Oh, no. You know what's the worst you can get? Is you're having backstage vignettes and you're farting as a female. Oh, wait, that did happen to Natalya, didn't it? Huh. Okay. Yeah, she's basically gotten shit on.
Yeah. So it's just, it's ridiculous how much they
deserves it.
Walked over Natalya, and she definitely deserves it, especially with last year the girls didn't even have a match. It got nixed from the card because of, granted, that's was probably a good thing, but with no Divas match last year at WrestleMania, expect one this year for sure.
Yeah. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the main event. Just because it's the main event, I thought this match actually sucked. It was Daniel Bryan and Big Show versus Batista and Kane, kind of just going from the earlier face-off with Daniel Bryan and Batista. A lot of big men in this match with Daniel Bryan. It was okay, but it's like if I was at this show and that was the main event, I'd actually be kind of pissed off.
Yeah, I agree with you. I didn't think it was anything too special. Daniel Bryan and Big Show got the win in the end. There's not really much to say.
No.
Everybody.
It's just the main event. It's just something I wanted to bring up.
Both main events this week weren't all that great.
No, they really weren't.
And it's sad because WWE would be like, oh, well, it's because Daniel Bryan was in it.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's actually because Batista was in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, SmackDown was kind of down from what it usually is.
It tells you how not good it was because the most time that we spent talking about something was the Divas.
That's actually true, yeah. And then we go from one Diva to the next onto WWE NXT. That was a good segue, wasn't it? And we kind of start off the show.
You got a future in the male escort business with Buff Bagwell.
Oh my gosh. We kind of start off the show with kind of talking about Emma and Paige's awesome title match at Arrival. Then we show kind of little backstage segments with both Paige and Emma and Charlotte. Ric Flair's daughter kept interrupting them, and at one point Ric Flair was even talking his.
Well, Ric Flair interrupted. Yeah, Ric Flair interrupted both interviews the first time. He was the first one to talk and interrupt them.
Yeah. Basically
saying, "Hey, you need to watch out for my daughter Charlotte." Blah blah blah. So
very soccer momish.
Yeah, very first thing was it made me feel like, okay, this girl can't get over.
Yes. If you have to get Ric Flair and her daddy to get her over, something's not right.
Yeah, I get it. They want to play off that she's his daughter, but if I'm her, I'll be like, no, I want to do this on my own.
Yeah.
I don't need my dad to make me who I am.
At least not this early with the fans
very
on the network getting to see NXT.
Yeah. So, I mean, I get it why they did it. To get Ric Flair on NXT and all that kind of stuff, and say that, hey, this is Ric Flair's daughter. I don't know. Then they had the match between Charlotte and Emma. It was an okay match. It ended with Emma or Charlotte faking an injury like Ric Flair would,
which I did like. I did like that part.
Yeah, and Emma, I think Sasha Banks was distracted by Emma, and Charlotte popped up and hit her, I don't know what the hell it was.
I don't know, but it was. I actually had to rewind to see it again.
Yeah, she did a front bulldog flip over into and smashed her face into the ground.
Yeah, it was not a move I was expecting her to do. That's why I had to rewind it. It was a riskier kind of move, especially for a woman in the first place. That they don't really let the women have the riskier kind of moves, but in NXT they kind of do because they're.
I was kind of bored with this match, to be honest. I didn't think it was all that
Charlotte
great.
Bores the crap out of me. Everything about her bores the crap out of me. Her look bores me. I mean, she looks like a freaking mammoth, and she's so not attractive. And, yeah.
Yeah, I just.
No, she's boring as hell.
Yeah, I don't want to say she's not attractive because I'm sure if she came up to me, I'd probably take her out on a date. But
yeah, and I'd ask for Ric Flair's autograph afterwards. I'd be like, introduce me to Rick.
It was boring.
Yeah.
I hope. I mean, obviously we're going to see more of her on NXT, but she's got a long way to go.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're going to want to push her high to the moon. I think. And I think because of who her daddy is, she's going to get an absolute fair shot. It's going to be her failing that's not going to let her be a diva on the main roster. So it'll be interesting to see the process of her getting up there. But I mean, the match was okay. But yeah, it was I was bored as well. And then we had the debut, I guess a re-debut of someone. And that would be Adam Rose.
I got to get your opinion on this before we start. Tell me if you liked it. Do you like his whole entrance? Do you like the whole backstage thing he did? Because it was the buzz on Twitter and all the social media sites. Everyone was going nuts of how awesome it was. I mean, you get a "that is awesome" chant before your match even starts.
This is what I'm thinking when I'm watching this. I'm like, is this Leo Kruger? Is this the guy that was like a serial killer gimmick, and he goes to this?
Yeah, total opposites.
It was absolute opposites, and it was interesting. It was refreshing. It was new. I'm not going to hate on it at all. And in his entrance, he gets basically a whole party of people what was that one kind of dance where people were doing like stupid little poses after 5 seconds.
I don't remember.
Even the Miami Heat did it, and the Indians have done it, and stuff. But it was very comical.
That Harlem Shake.
Yeah,
or
the
whatever.
Harlem Shake. That's what it was. Yeah, it's because he has like people like with like Viking helmets and women like with like feathers and makeup on and everything. I mean, he has just a whole rave.
It was like a big
people.
Mardi Gras party.
Yeah, and it was interesting. It was fun to see. It was different, and it was cool to see him be able to go from one extreme to another, and it flowed. So yeah, I thought it was cool.
I really liked it. It was cool to see. Like, I was actually entertained by just the entrance.
Yeah.
And you hear about how many people talk about, like, your entrance is huge. Like, you know, that's how you come out. And to make your debut that way, and you have the whole crowd chanting, that was awesome before your match even starts. So I think he's on to something. I think he's got a really cool gimmick. It's something totally different. He can wrestle too, so it's gonna be interesting. I hope. I mean, it kind of seems like it's a joke gimmick too, but I hope they can make him into more legit, serious contender.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like he might just be like one of those happy kind of people in this gimmick, because like at first look, yeah, you're like, oh, this is a joke, but then I don't know. It just flowed so well that I could definitely see it passing. So
yeah, cool. He's got the fans behind him because they were going crazy for him.
Yeah.
So
we'll see what this entails later in the week.
I just want to see more
of
them. Honestly, there's so much like NXT like entrances, even like him and Tyler Breeze. Like, I'm like out of my seat like to watch their entrances because they're just so amazing.
Yeah. yeah. Breeze he has one of those kind of just interesting, different kind of ways to the ring.
Like, I just see. Yeah, I can see these on Monday Night Raw, and just like people just like getting into it and excited, like kind of like Emma's right now. Everyone comes out and everyone's doing her little dance in the crowd and everything. So it's like they're doing some really good things down at NXT. It's better than frickin' TNA. It really is.
No, it extremely is. I would much rather watch NXT. I like even watching this NXT, I was more entertained and interested in everything and the development of everyone than I was in Impact. I honestly had to watch Impact 2 times before we did this show because I literally forgot everything. I was so uninterested in Impact. And we'll get into that in a second, but let's get into the main event first of NXT, and that was Sami Zayn and Corey Graves. Corey Graves had a match.
About time they put him on there because I was pissed that he wasn't on Arrival.
I want to go through this quickly, but then I want to talk about the Corey Graves and Arrival thing. First, though, what did you think of the Sami Zayn and Corey Graves main event?
I honestly expected a lot more. I didn't think it was as good as these two could do, but it was still a good match, But it's two totally different styles.
Yes.
Sami Zayn is the high flyer, jumping around, quick style. Corey Graves is, even for being a small guy, he looks like he would fly around and stuff, but he is not like that at all. He's a pound you, smash you, keep you to the ground, submission kind of guy. Yeah.
And I absolutely dig Corey Graves. But I agree with you. I thought the match could have been a whole lot better, and it was okay. It was a solid main event.
They gave it a lot of hype up too, because they had the interview in the beginning of the night where Graves had a match before, and he was talking about Sami Zayn and how he got all the
there's a Yoshitatsu showing.
Yeah, and
I thought he was dead. But
I just think he has gotten on Yoshitatsu. He just has no character. I just don't know what else you could do with him other than what he does. But
I honestly thought he was released at this point. I was like, why was he even still here? But
well, your boy JTG's still there. How the fuck is he still there?
I haven't even seen him wrestle for a long time. I don't even know what he does anymore.
I think he carries Cena's bags in and stuff.
Probably he would.
Probably carries Nikki's too.
Yeah. But the thing with Corey Graves is, I was going to say this when I was watching the show, and he's doing like this interview in the ring talking about how he wasn't even used for Arrival. It reminded me a lot of the Rob Van Dam thing for the first ECW pay-per-view where Rob Van Dam wasn't on the card, and it's that kind of role where you're either going to be on the card and you're going to be highlighted, or the next best thing is you're the one guy that's pissed off that he wasn't on the card. And I think that's a cool thing for Corey Graves, and I think it's going to work for Corey Graves in his future of just having that kind of chip on your shoulder. So I like that they were using him in that way of him making it known that he was pissed off that he wasn't on the card, And Corey Graves is honestly one of the best talents in NXT. So he's going to shine in the next couple of weeks. And
yeah. I think he has some things to work on still.
He does.
Wrestling-wise, a little bit of gimmick-wise, but I love the character. I love the look. It's just, I think he's going to be a pretty, I don't want to say superstar because it's so hard to predict those numbers. But, I mean, you think Dolph Ziggler is going to be a superstar, and now he's a walk-on, piss-on, pretty much.
Yeah, so you just never know, but he definitely has the potential of being that grittier kind of superstar that they've kind of missed out with now that Edge is gone.
Yeah, so let's talk about the next thing.
Okay.
Briefly.
And you know what? We probably shouldn't end on this, but we have to talk about Impact because it's what we do. There's not a whole lot to talk about. The show sucked.
You got a lot written here.
Well, there's the half of it is the main thing the first thing that happened on the show. So we get into a match where it's Bobby Roode, Austin Aries, and the Bromance versus MVP and the Wolves, which first of all pissed me off because it's the only thing that your company is really about right now for Lethal Lockdown, and you're basically giving it away. Now, the one person that's not in this match that was announced to be in Lethal Lockdown is your good buddy and mine, Jeffrey Hardy. He is returning. He's going to be in the corner with MVP in the Wolves.
Which I'm totally fine with
because
if you really look at it, like, what other big face star do they even have to be in this match anymore?
I honestly believe they only have like 8 to 10 men on this roster.
Like, you have Kurt Angle that's hurt now, and he's not going to even be wrestling at the pay-per-view tonight. I know you're having that big viewing party, so you got to get going here.
Is that tonight? I honestly forgot that's tonight. Are we going to do a prediction show?
If you want to.
I really don't.
Okay, that's fine. We'll just order Donatos and maybe watch an illegal stream of it.
I'm in.
Actually, I don't even want to watch it.
No, I'm not going to watch it, honestly. I'd rather do anything than watch that. So that was the match that started. But it like I was saying, it just ticks me off because that's the only thing that like your company is about right now, and you're just giving it away on free TV, even though you give away pay-per-views on free TV. Oh God, this company is horrible.
But this isn't on TV. This is actual pay-per-view.
Yeah, I know. Okay. This is an actual pay-per-view, which is shocking. I didn't think that they even had a license for actual pay-per-views anymore. But the match was stopped and it was ordered to restart following a chair attack from Austin Aries to Davey Richards, and the whole night basically Davey Richards is getting taped up. He looks like he's going through like pregnancy pains or something like that in the back. And then they make it look like at the end that he's like a very historic guy or a very tough guy, which is good to see. I did like to see that. It showed the heart for Davey Richards, for someone brand new that a lot of people, unless you watch Ring of Honor, didn't even know about him or other indie shows. So he was given an hour to return and face Bobby Roode. And the whole thing about this was to determine the advantage at Lethal Lockdown. So it was something that just had to happen. And then Davey Richards did end up coming out. And do you remember who won that?
No, I fell asleep.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Bobby Roode won. But you know what? I honestly can't remember now that I think about it.
And anyone who's listening would turn this podcast off.
Yeah, everyone stopped after NXT. So the next thing, I'm not even gonna get your opinion on this because I just want to get through this.
Okay, thanks.
I'm sorry, that was mean. What did you think of this whole fiasco?
I just hope Austin Aries becomes world champion somehow out of this. That's all I care about.
I'm praying that Joe wins.
Yeah.
The world title means nothing right now on this show.
No, I really don't. I mean, I guess I could see Magnus, still being the champ, but I want Samoa Joe to be a champ.
Magnus doesn't even do anything as champ, though, is what's stupid.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of hoping Joe just beats his ass. But
honestly, Magnus, to me, is on the same level as Eric Young right now.
Yeah.
Like, you just don't care about him.
I'm pretty sure Dixie Carter has an ace up her sleeve for tonight, whatever it is. Maybe their big surprise will be Road Warrior Animal or something. Like, take a page out of WCW's book.
That would be fantastic. I think the best thing about the show again was the Sam Shaw and Anderson stuff.
I agree. I think when Anderson wants to retire, he's got an amazing career as a ring announcer.
Yes.
I would love to see him come back to WWE and put Justin Roberts and them to shame.
Yeah.
Like, because he just does it so well. He's amazing at it.
But yeah, I really dig that like Sam Shaw throughout the show is looking for Chrissy Hemme, and he thinks that he finds her in like the makeup room, and it ends up being Anderson dressed up in a wig, and then like Anderson beats the crap out of him and puts makeup on him and whatever. I just like Sam Shaw is crazy good actually at this gimmick. It's like maybe he's like secretly a serial killer or something. We just don't know, because he's actually really good in this character, and Anderson's playing it off really good. And I give kudos to them for transitioning Anderson from that whole big feud with Bully Ray, which, by the way, Bully Ray has not been on TV the last couple of weeks like I predicted, and he's really gone well with Sam Shaw. So I'm interested. This is the only match I actually want to see. I don't give a crap about Lethal Lockdown at all, honestly.
Well, speaking of Bully Ray, that's what I think is Dixie's ace in the sleeve, or ace in the hole tonight. Is going to be Bully Ray somehow.
Okay. Touche. That could be it. Because they really don't have much power to.
I mean, who else are they going to bring in?
Not have on the show. So the fact
they're going to bring in Eugene to come down, Eric Bischoff's cousin.
Wow, that would be. They could.
I mean, yeah.
Maybe they'll repackage Garrett Bischoff too.
Well, he's got a nice clothing line.
He has a great clothing line. The Rope Break approves his clothing line because we are friends with him on Twitter. So we are all for Garrett Bischoff's clothing line, and I hope it succeeds. And if you want to give me some shirts, I would appreciate that, Garrett Bischoff. Say hi to your dad for me.
I would wear some Bischoff attire. Just make sure it says Bischoff though, no G Bischoff.
Yeah, Garrett, please keep your name off it. If you could just say Bischoff, I would appreciate that. But I do love you.
That's so mean.
All right. And Joe and Magnus. So this is the main event. We've already touched up on it. They've given this a little bit of hype, not as much as Lethal Lockdown, obviously, because of the whole MVP thing. Are you excited at all for this match?
No. But I do want Joe to win. I'm not excited for anything on this pay-per-view. I will be happily content with either looking at 11 o'clock at night or tomorrow when I wake up and just reading the results.
It's so sad, too, because we used to love TNA.
Yeah,
like even just a couple months ago.
Yeah, when I first started to come back, I mean, TNA was doing some great things, and like in 2012 when AJ and Chris Daniels were having an awesome feud, and Bobby Roode and Austin Aries, and Bobby Roode was the world champ, and it just oh wow,
it's crazy to think how they got to this point.
It's like. It's literally like when WCW was doing well, and then I don't want to say it was when Vince Russo came in, but then when Vince Russo came in, everything just went to shit.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to admit that, but I don't know if WCW got to this bad, but there definitely was a whole nother feel to WCW once that happened. But yeah, back to on this actual match, I don't really care. I want Joe to win, and he's kind of like the Tommy Dreamer in a sense, where he's a big part of the company, but never really gets recognition. I mean, I know he's been world champion before, but he never really felt like the world champion then, and he still doesn't get recognition at all. I mean, Samoa Joe was one of the biggest free agent indie guys coming out like with him and CM Punk, and it was such a big deal to get him, and they did such an amazing job at first putting him into like the X Division matches with AJ and Daniels, and it's just something. At some point, he just fizzled completely, and he just wasn't looked at anymore as someone that could carry the company in any form. So I hope with the company now just being a shit show that they're just like, screw it. Let's just try it out, and maybe they'll actually give him the title this time.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely possible, but I definitely would like to see Joe win. I expect him to win, but if they have Magnus win again and have somebody, interfere or whatever, I think it's just like same old shit.
Yeah, and it's not even, at least when they did this with Scott Steiner in WCW, at least Scott Steiner, when he got on the microphone, he made you laugh because he was just absolutely crazy. He is a legitimately crazy
guy.
Guy.
He was like, his like end of WCW gimmick, he was like batshit crazy.
Yeah,
like,
he was like literally crazy.
Like he would walk around with, was it the steel pipe or a steel bat?
Yeah, it was steel pipe with his chain on his head like he was a freaking warrior.
Yeah, and like everybody would just like they would see him walking backstage and everyone would run.
Yeah, and the other thing is he's huge. Like he has softballs in his muscles. Like he's a legitimately big guy, so he was legit in that sense too. Magnus, as much as I wanted this for Magnus, it just doesn't work. And I don't know if that's Magnus's fault. I don't know if that's TNA's fault. Mixture of both.
I think it's just writing and all that's fault because they didn't make him legitimate. They just made him a joke as a champ.
And there's just not enough talent around the world title picture right now, or anything really, that just makes it work.
Yeah, and I can't believe we talked about Impact this long.
I cannot believe we've talked about Impact for this long. I apologize.
So, tell them where to follow us, and we'll end it.
All right. Well, you can follow us on Twitter, at The Rope Break, on YouTube, and Facebook. It's just /The Rope Break. Tell your friends. Tell your family. This is the next best thing in professional wrestling podcasting, my friends. And we will see you next week. And that is it.
Yep, and make sure you guys check out Jeff Wolf. He's going to have a show with Buff Bagwell being a male escort.